right. I think microphone's on. Desktop audio is off. That's because I want to listen to my music while I'm drawing. Unfortunately, you might have to listen to me heavy breathing and all that crap, but that's the way it is. I was checking all my stuff here. CPU is fine. Frames are fine. Alright. So I think I'm all good. So yeah, I'm in the final day of the Indiegogo campaign for my creator-owned comic book, Caius, or how it's properly pronounced, Caius. Alright, I just gotta quickly check YouTube here, see if it's connecting. Okay. And oh, my cover image is wrong, but oh well. Alright, cool. So what I got here, this is page 30 that I'm working on right now for the comic book, and I'm just going to be working on getting in the inks and stuff like that. I want to try and get as much done as I can here before I have to go back to work. Where is it? View, print size. That's what I want to work at. So what this is, on Clip Studio Paint, you can work on a thing, you can set up so you actually work on the actual size of paper it is on screen. One of the big problems that I used to have drawing digitally is the scaling of stuff. I would always zoom in way too much. But Clip Studio Paint has a feature where you can actually measure it out, lock it, so what size it shows up on your Cintiq or whatever you're using will be the actual size if it was a piece of paper you're drawing on, if that makes any sense. Yo, Wade, what's going on? Let's tighten this up a little bit more. What was I using? Was I using the mapping pen? No, I was using the turnip pen. Yeah, that's what I was using. Yeah, I had to switch up the pen. I was using the G pen for a long time, but I just didn't like the way that my tapered ends. I just didn't like the way that I was looking at the end of everything. And I got my cat next to me, sleeping. We'll see how long he lasts. But I hope everybody's having a good day today. I've been on Twitter all morning. It's funny because I was like, oh, it's my last 24 hours. And then I actually checked the time and I was like, oh, I got like 30 hours here. But realistically, those last like 8 hours are in the middle of the night, so I don't really count those because by the time it hits the West Coast, it's just going to sweep through and everybody's going to be sleeping anyway, so. But for a first attempt at crowdfunding on Indiegogo, I think it was a good go around. Ended up meeting the funding goal. Just broke through the first stretch goal yesterday, which is awesome. And one of the good things now that I've hit the funding goal on Indiegogo, if you hit it and you set it up, you can go to a thing that's known as in demand, and it will turn your Indiegogo campaign into an open store, and you can keep that open as long as you want, well into fulfillment, after fulfillment, so that way if anybody comes in late, they still have a chance to get in, depending on what kind of tiers you have. And I think you can still add tiers as long as it's still going, which is pretty awesome. Because more or less that was what I was aiming for, just to hit the funding goal. And then that way you can get into in demand and extend the actual campaign that way. Oh wait, is that vector? I don't want a vector layer. Oh well. Ugh. That's much better. It's amazing when you look at your hand for reference. You're like, oh yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. It's those little things. Always the little things. Hopefully everybody that's on here can hear me just fine. Microphone seems to be working, so. Put that there, put that there. I always have those moments where, even though I've been drawing forever, I kind of forget a lot of stuff. I don't know if anybody else out there has had that scenario happen to them, or you almost forget the fact that you know a lot of stuff. And then it hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's how I'm supposed to do it. And also that classic thing of not having to show everything. Just check up on the chat. Come on, there. Now, I slowly have to build up my YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. Part of the campaign was to do a little bit of a test, and I wanted to see if I could hit my funding goal without doing all the things that you're supposed to do. I went about it a little bit differently, and I'm going to kind of document that part for the YouTube channel, and also kind of be like a template for anybody else who's doing a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or some kind of crowdfunding, and just kind of show what I did without having a big audience, a big following, and still being able to hit a funding goal. Because a lot of people are saying like you need at least like, you know, don't start your crowdfunding unless you have, you know, X amount thousand followers and stuff like that, which I don't. YouTube, I think I have like maybe 100 and something followers on there. Instagram, I got like 1,100 followers. But the thing is, it is about your pool and what you're pulling from. So if you have a bunch of people on Facebook, that's a pool that you can pull from. So whatever avenue or social media presence you have, and you just kind of pool it all together, and hopefully you can pull enough people together to support your project. And there's a bunch of good resources out there that I have not used for my project. But I will be using those in the near future. Because after I'm done the comic book, I'm going to be launching a coloring book. And that's probably going to be on Kickstarter. It seems to have more pull over there for coloring books. But we'll see. With the coloring book, I think I can double dip in both, go Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And the plan with that is it's not going to be a book. I'm actually trying to avoid certain cut or cost with things, and with the coloring book, there's a way that I can do it where it's not even going to be a book. what time is it? 3:25 right now. Now the funny thing is I haven't actually been able to draw pages in a long time because I've been setting up for the Indiegogo campaign. So this is the first time in a long time that I've been able to actually come back to the pages and make some progress on them, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while. But running the campaign, being on social media, getting a hold of people, going on shows, eats up a ton of time. And I congratulate absolutely everybody who does one of these things and pulls it off, because like I said, it's very, very time consuming. Not quote unquote all consuming, but it's like constantly whittling away at your time. Not in a bad way, but definitely in a good way. Because of, it leads to the thing that you want to be doing, so it's time well spent. And it's a good learning experience. I've learned a lot. Not along the lines of what I would do and wouldn't do. Because I'm trying to think of, like, if there is anything that I would be like, oh, I regret doing that. Nothing that pops out as of yet. But like I said, it's all a learning experience right now, so I'll find out once I view all the analytics and stuff like that. And that'll give me a better baseline for what I want to do for the next campaign, and then the next one. So at least that way it'll compound on itself. might have to redo those. Yo, fitness, what's going on? Hope your day's going well. Not much. You ready to start your campaign? Oh, campaign's winding down, man. This is the last day of it. Yeah, campaign's been running for 30 days now. Wraps up, I think, at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm pretty much counting this day as the last day. Because once it hits that time on the West Coast, it's pretty much dead. So what do you expect at the end of it? Well, I hit the funding goal, which is good. And because it's on Indiegogo, if you hit your funding goal and you opt into what's known as the in-demand feature, when it goes into in-demand, it'll stay open as a store, so anybody who missed out during the initial campaign will be able to hop in later on. And you get to keep it open as a store, I think almost indefinitely. I was watching one guy, and he hit his funding goal, pretty much the same thing. Hit his funding goal, and he's kept it open since, and he's been able to pull in like a couple extra $1,000s on it since it wrapped up. So it's a really beneficial feature that Indiegogo has available. So yeah, I'll just keep it open that way. And that way, if anybody wants to come in late to the game, that's how they can do it. Which will be good. Yeah, and I'm inking pages right now. I unfortunately have not been able to ink any pages until now, just because the campaign has been kind of eating up a ton of time. Just because that's the nature of the beast. So I'm super stoked to get back to working on the pages, because this is the fun stuff. This is what I like doing. All the other stuff, getting the campaign going, those are like necessary evils that have to be done. But theoretically, each campaign will get easier as time goes on, because it's a learning process for each campaign. Nice. As for me, I'm planning on making about 3 pages of exposition that'll put near the beginning and the middle of my comic. Good old exposition. I plan on giving myself another week of inking. I think I'm working at a good pace. Yeah, it's as long as it's a pace where you're not burning yourself out. I think that's probably the most important thing. You know, where you're still keeping momentum with the project. How far are you into your book right now? Oh, all right. I have to make a phone call. Talk to you later. Okay, fitness. That looks like hell. Got my stuff way too dark. Start over again. Clear. But to answer your question real quick, I have 3 exhibition pages, 5 pages of ending to ink, so I think 4 pages transition, including cover page. I think about 90% inking right now. Oh, right on, man. gotta remember not to get caught up in overthinking stuff. I gotta remember to just let things be. Yo, Tank, what's going on? Hope your day's going well, man. And thank you for the like and share over on YouTube. Doing well, doing well. Yeah, I'm just putting along, finally getting back to working on pages, which is nice. Because it's been a while. I'll say that's one thing about the campaign that I learned is just like how much time it'll whittle away from you without you realizing it. Just on like a, like a little day-to-day kind of thing. Are you getting to draw anything right now, Tank? Just got back from the post office and getting back to the wraparound cover for Skunk Girl, but first, Lone Star and Lone Wolf fan art to warm up. Nice, nice. Breaks over, back to work, late. Okay, man. Yo, Vaughn, what's shaking? How you doing, man? Long time no see. I guess that's on my account, because I have not been streaming. Cool stuff, bottom left. Haven't been in touch on the computer either. Oh, okay, cool. I've been doing. I was working all. Let's see. Well, I did my Indiegogo campaign. Today's the last day for that. Met my funding goal, which is awesome. So now I can print the book. Storyboard stuff. I'm done with it. this I'm absolutely freaking done with it. So next week is back to the job hunt, and I'm honestly just looking for like a regular, like, non-art related job. So we'll see how that transpires. And then other than that, yeah, just spent the last month on the campaign trail. And now that that's wrapping up, like I say, yeah, back to work one way or another. And then plan is just to work on the comic book. I wouldn't mind working in a bar or something at this point. Yeah, it's trying to find something that just honestly like has nothing to do with drawing or art or anything whatsoever. The last stint of storyboard stuff really burnt me out. And then that way, you know, when I come back from work, whatever that may be, the idea of sitting down and drawing would be actually appealing, as opposed to have been sitting down already for 8 hours a day and drawing for somebody else. I can't be asked to do art for other people. It's not so much that it's just the like sheer mental bandwidth. Like I don't think I have it anymore. I honestly think that it's gone. At least for other people's projects. I think that's where I'm at with it now. Is no matter what the pay is, I'm just like, I fucking don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I would rather be working on my own stuff, which is not fair for anybody hiring me. So, because if they're paying me top dollar, I should be well and present to give them my best. So it's the most professional thing to do. And again, one of the reasons why I'm kind of like, I probably should find something else to do. Realistically. I've been writing tons of. Oh, nice. That's awesome. It's funny. I know I'm gonna have to come back and re-edit all this stuff, just because I've been drawing it in segments for so long. I'm like, I know this backpack doesn't line up the same way as previously drawn, but that'll just be part of the editing process. Probably gonna save up for an iPad. I like that shit more and more. Almost want to sell my tablet to buy it, which I left in the UK because it's huge. Yeah, they are not small. But yeah, the iPad Pro is awesome. Yeah, every iteration that comes out seems to be better than the last. Just bear in mind that when you are buying it, you're probably only buying it for, what is it, like 3 or 4 years before it outdates itself. So just be aware of that. But again, that's just like any other electronic peripheral at this point. Well, with the Apple updates, they got busted a while ago by purposely making their hardware obsolete by doing software updates. And people were always being like, it's funny how almost at the 3 year point, my iPhone or my iPad just becomes a brick. And independent study went in and checked it out, and yeah, sure enough, they were programming the operating systems to obsolete the hardware every 3 years, pretty much. Just so after a certain point, you can't even update it because it's just like, nope, gotta buy a new one. And they've said that they don't do it anymore, but I'm like, yeah, right. But I've heard nothing but good things from people that have bought the iPad Pro. I'm guessing they had to change that. Yeah, had to change it. But yeah, like I said, everyone that I know that picked it up, they absolutely love it. So, and especially now that things like Procreate are getting like literally better by every upgrade. Make the iPad a viable option to be doing professional work all the time. I've been trying a friend's iPad. At the beginning, I didn't like it, but once I adapted to it, it's great. Yeah, that's what everybody says. Like, once you get used to the pencil and the feel of it all, I wonder if they'll add screen tones. I'm pretty sure you can just download brushes, like screen tone brushes for Procreate. Yeah, I have not really looked into Procreate, but everything that I've seen from it, like a buddy of mine, Chad, he absolutely loves it. But for me, if I think I was going to pick something up, again, this is just me, I would probably pick up maybe the Surface Pro, but that's just because I already own Clip Studio Paint and I don't want to pay a subscription service for it. So, because I'm cheap that way. I always start traditionally, and now since I'm out of digital gadgets, I might just stack up the sketches once the summer's all over and do them digitally. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Just rack them all up, scan them in later. Build up a nice content wall that you can just chip away at. I guess I'll be able to do them better by the end of summer as well. Yeah, always moving forward. Yeah, always making that progress. Monkey finger, he shoot Coca-Cola. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, I'm hoping by... Oh, I'll have to gauge everything here to see how the new potential job, what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. But the plan is I want to have this comic book done and printed and out into the hands of everybody as soon as possible, because the sooner I get it into the hands of everybody, the sooner I can do the next campaign. And the next campaign will be the coloring book campaign. Just because I still have an itch to draw weird things that won't be, part of the comic book. And that's where I'll get that quote unquote itch out. At least that's the theoretical plan anyway. Plus I can draw up that stuff quite readily, which is what I'm looking for. It's nice to take a break away from doing the comic book stuff, but when I'm in comic book mode, that's where I want to be. And if I want to take a break, I want to be able to take something that's like, I can still have it benefit me down the road. Because the plan is to ultimately, quote unquote, still be doing art for a living. But I'm really, really trying to weed out the aspect of having to draw stuff for other people. The ultimate goal that we all want is to draw our own shit, people to like it enough where they want to support it. That's the goal. Hey, Scott. How's it going? Scott over on YouTube. Hope all is well. Draw it up. Des faces. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like having to draw up the story and still kind of not give stuff away when I'm streaming. But that's what edits are for, so I can come back in and be like, go everything with the fine tooth comb. Be like, oh yeah, that needs to go here. I didn't draw that because of this reason. Also liked and shared. Oh, thanks, Scott. I couldn't do that. Yeah, it's a tricky balance because there's a lot of stuff that I want to tell, but I'd just rather leave it for the story. which has also been really, really tricky for the crowdfunding campaign too, because uh, where the story starts in issue 1 and where it goes in issue 2 are very, very different. And doing that classic thing of, hey, you know you shouldn't be doing this stuff. This is how you're supposed to do it. And I'm like, nah, nah, brah. Do it this way. Probably to my detriment. But at the exact same time, it's how the story is told in my mind, so that's how I'm going to do it. I've ran it past a couple people that are very story-heavy influence and stuff like that in their writing, and they're like, oh, it's not the best way to start a story. I was like, well, that's how it plays out in my head when I play it, so that's how I'm going to do it. And that's how it'll be, because that's how it is. I was like, I know there's 1,000 different ways you could skin this cat. But when it's all said and done, it's just part of the story. Oh, thanks, Scott. And the whole thing with the story is the little dirty secret is the creator is also supposed to be having fun while they're making it. And if I can't have fun drawing it and writing it, there's kind of no point in doing it. My story is a mystery mindfuck for me. Well, that's half the fun too, is figuring it out, you know? Turnip pin. Yeah, thankfully, the story for this, I got it mapped out well enough, but I still have a lot of room where I can play in between the sequences and stuff. Because it's basically just like a nice long adventure quest story, and part of the adventure is, you know, will they ever find the thing that they're looking for? Which, you know, is kind of tough to convey in the comic book when you're like, oh, what's it about? And I'm like, you know, because if I say exactly what it is, it's technically not what book one is, so I gotta say what book one is, which is technically not what the overall story is. So a bit of a conundrum I put myself into there, unfortunately. Yo, Harvey, we're checking, man. Back at her, yeah. Yeah, comic books won't make themselves. Oh, that's too smooth. It's funny, I'm trying to get this blend of like line weight, but not incredibly like thick to thin, but just enough. I'm gonna have to see how much of the old stuff I'm gonna have to rework to kind of match the newer stuff, because there's definitely going to be edits and redraws for the previous pages that I've already done up. Oh, who is that? Ah, Celtic Moon. Thank you for the follow. Hope your day is going well. Oh, do I not have... Oh no, I got them going. Okay, well, I thought I didn't. Oh, okay, Harvey. Andrea, Facebook creeping. Oh, thanks, Andrea. Yeah, the good part is it can now go into what's known as in demand, so I can keep it open up until fulfillment, so I can extract as much as I can out of people that want to actually buy the book, so it's awesome. Because I think it's going to be one of those kind of like sleeper creeper things, like down the road. But I hope you have been keeping well. Super exciting? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm super stoked. Yep, small steps to doing it possibly full-time in the future. But in the meantime, like I've given myself to the end of this week to work on the project, now that it's hit its funding and all that fun stuff. And then I gotta get it back to work. I gotta find a job here. I was working storyboards, but now I am no longer working storyboards because I don't want to draw for somebody else. You know, I'd rather focus all my energy on personal projects, hence the comic book and stuff. So I just want to go find a regular job, whatever it is, do that. I don't know if you remember that scene in American Beauty where Kevin Spacey's character goes into the fast food place and he goes, just give me the job with the least amount of responsibility. I don't care what it is. That's pretty much where I'm at. Thanks, man. Strange, I can hear you, and I could only type back. I'm sure you'll find a decent job. You got skills. Well, I got some kind of skills. We'll catch up. Yeah. Scott on YouTube. I gotta go. See you in a while. All right, Scott. Take it easy, man. Peace out. I'll take a quick look, see if the Indiegogo has moved at all. Just give me a second here while I finish this up. Let's take a look. Refresh. Probably not. Oh, it did go up. Cool. It's at 52.23 right now. So it's still moving slowly, which is good, which is good. I should have eaten something before I started streaming. What's everybody got for dinner plans? Mistakes were made? Well, as long as they're not detrimental mistakes, and mistakes you can learn from. So I got a bunch of weird little rules for the comic. One of the rules is no cross-hatching. I can do directional lines, but I can't do, cross-hatching like that. What is the other? I can also scribble. That's the closest I'm allowed to quote-unquote crosshatch. Really trying to avoid doing like spot blacks and stuff like that. I'm trying to keep it really open as far as the artwork's concerned, because I only want blacks to be used in certain areas. If it's like a piece of clothing, it's solid black. Even if it's supposed to be like shiny, like leather or something like that, if it's black, it's black. Because the plan is, theoretically, this is going to be colored in the future, and whoever ends up coloring it, because it's not going to be me, I want it to be as open as possible for them to kind of play around with it within certain parameters. But it's also going to be screen toned for the digest version. And that's where, quote unquote, certain details are going to be coming in. But because I haven't figured out exactly how I want the screen tones or the colors to be, that's why I'm leaving it super open right now. Plus, it's fun to put like those little limitations on what you can and can't do with the art, playing within those boundaries. And plus, I draw so freaking slow as it is. I kind of don't need anything else occupying extra time with like cross-hatching and detailing and all that kind of stuff. At least that's the idea and that's the plan. I just gotta see how low the duster actually is on her. I gotta look at stuff. Okay, so it's just above the boot. Okay. Yeah, like the boots that everybody's wearing in these scenes, they're all solid black. Except for where they kind of like lace over, but they're button boots. So the detail in them is either like solid black or just very, very minimal suggestion. Because it's one of those things, like once you start rendering something, you know, you have to finish rendering that thing, and that's kind of something I'm trying to avoid. I want to get away from the render machine, because that just eats up time. And for me and the project down the road, it's honestly it's more about time than my personal wants and desires artistically. That'll come on its own down the road. But back in the day, if I was drawing this, you know, it would have been like, you know, it's all about me and what I can do. But now I'm just like, man, I'm getting old and I'm gonna fucking die soon, so I gotta get the story done before that happens. Because I don't want to be, you know, in a hospital bed withering away being like, oh, if I only did the thing I wanted to do. And that's make this book. So the sooner I can get this out, the sooner I'll be happy on my deathbed. I know it's morbid, but it's the way I think. Yeah, I got, nah, man, I think the same way. Can't die until then. Live my life pretty carefully. You too are anxiety ridden. Glad to know I'm not the only one. I like to call it tactical living. Yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah, I found a way to channel my anxiety to be a positive force than rather than a hindering force, which I think a lot of people should take some kind of class in. Like, anxiety is a great tool if you know how to use it. It's a fantastic tool if you know how to use it. If you don't know how to use it, that's when it gets you. I would cross the street to the other side just because on the way I'm going over there are no exit on the right. So I go left. Fuck that. Almost have a heart attack when my girlfriend crosses red lights. So she looks at me like, don't tell me how to live in the ghetto. Yeah, I do find it funny. Yeah, weird little like things. Trying to think of one. Well, unfortunately, living here in Vancouver, you always got to watch out for hypodermic needles everywhere. That's always a constant fear. The place where I grew up, uh, not when I was like a kid, but when I was a teenager, a place called Kelowna, used to be an awesome place, but now it's pretty much overrun with junkies and drug addicts all over the place. There used to be, well, there still is, a park right downtown, right on the lake, right on the water, and like it was awesome. You used to be able to go there, have beers, chill out on the sand, the whole area, no problems. Now everybody's kind of like can't go to the beach because junkies put their needles in the sand. What is it, yesterday or the day before? One of the news reports that a kid was on the beach just playing along and dug up a syringe. And, you know, it's unfortunate because back in the day there used to be like an unwritten code. And that unwritten code was don't F around or you'll have to pay the price. But now that nobody's there to dole out that price, so, junkies everywhere. Hey, Trusty Sidekick, what's shaking? Trusty Sidekick over on YouTube. Von Poppenstein on Twitch. Used to be like this here, but you would see them everywhere because it's a village. Okay. Yeah, Trusty just working on the pages for the comic book. Now that I can. Now that the campaign's kind of like winding down. It's in its last day. So I can actually get back to drawing the comic, which is what I wanted to be doing. But doing the campaign stuff all by myself eats up a ton of time. But thankfully, because of the community, there's been lots of people who've been able to repost and stuff like that, which is awesome. I'm going to be making a little video kind of talking about the overall experience with the crowdfunding. So I'll kind of be touching on a bunch of subjects, a bunch of topics, but that's in the future. Looking good. Oh, thanks, Jesse. Are you drawing up anything today there, Trusty? Sorry, I missed that. I was talking to Mrs. Psychic. Oh, I was just asking if you're drawing up anything right now. Not drawn at the moment. Looking for pictures of my son who is graduating from high school. Oh, that's awesome. GC to him. Worst part is done. Yep. High school's a bitch. Yeah, I've had quite a few people get a hold of me asking me about my trailer for my Indiegogo campaign. Asking me like, "Oh, who did it for you?" and stuff like that. And I'm just like, "Well, I did it myself." And they're like, and I've had a couple people ask me, be like, "Oh man, maybe you could do one for me." And I'm like, "Man, this took like months to do. Not like months consistently, but it was a period of months to put it together." But I will say, Uh, there are a lot of campaigns that could use some serious editing uh, in their trailers. And it's little things. It's weird little fundamentals of editing, thankfully, that I somehow picked up. It shows a couple more frames and it'll be series level. Yeah, that's it exactly. I was trying to go for something that was like borderline motion comic, but not shitty motion comic, if you know what I mean. And, animated, but not complete animated. Because I was like, man, I still need to get this done in a certain time frame. I don't want to be sitting here animating this thing for, months and months on end. But I do have plans in the works already for number 2. And I got a couple friends I'm going to talk to and see if they might be interested in helping me out. But I'll see. Because there's a definite vibe and feel that I want to have continue throughout the trailers. Because down the road, the trailers might become part of an overall pitch. But I'm not concerning myself with that right now. I just want to make them kick ass. But yeah, definitely keeping the quality of the overall project, even throughout the trailers, is going to be key as time goes on. I gotta bring some stuff up. I can't remember exactly where they're positioned right now, so I gotta see in a previous frame. Oh, okay, okay. Alright, so he's closer to the edge. Okay. Okay. Let's see. After this one, oh, that one's not too bad. That one shouldn't take too long. And then, yeah, that one's going to take a little bit of time. All right, Trusty, take it easy, man. Have a good day. I'll probably catch you on the flip side or some side, east side. time is it? 5:15? Alright, well I think I'm going to go till about 6. Then I'm going to stop, make something to eat, and then I will be back. So just kind of give everybody a heads up as to the plan. And then when I come back, I will probably just be finishing up this page and starting on another one. Am I? Oh, okay. I thought I was on the wrong layer. I was just about to curse. Wouldn't have been that bad, though. But how many times have y'all done that? Drawing for hours and then not paying attention and then realizing you're on the wrong layer. Too many? Yeah. That's the reason I smoke. That makes sense. Yeah, nothing will stress you out more than making a big mistake and then immediately trying to fix it and then having like Photoshop crash on you. I had that happen for a tattoo I was doing. It was due the next day and I was just finishing it up, coming around to the end, realized I was working on the wrong layer for hours. I was like, oh no, this sucks. I was like, but I can still save it. Set up everything to save it, and then did the classic, oh, just gonna save this so I don't mess it up, and then gone. No recovery, no nothing, just gone into the Photoshop ether. And this is before like auto recovery was a thing. fuck Photoshop. Man, Adobe is digging a hole so far and deep, especially now that they've announced that if you're using older versions of Creative Cloud, like say you didn't upgrade your Creative Cloud, you can be sued by third parties now, apparently, for something. They haven't exactly come out and said why, but it just looks like a way that they're trying to, you know, enforceably strong-arm people to constantly update. Which threw the art community into a bit of a tizzy. They're like, what the F? And understandably, I know like the way that it's set up now is you're supposed to have it so it's always the freshest and the newest. But there are people who their systems can't handle the latest update, but maybe 2 or 3 previously it could run fine. And now because of that, they pretty much, if they want to use Photoshop, have to get a complete new rig just to run the goddamn thing. But this doesn't affect the people that have old versions of Creative Suite. It's just Creative Cloud. Because as soon as that happened, I was just like, oh man, I'm going to check out a couple of the Photoshop forums and see who's freaking out. And there was a bunch of people being like, I can't run the latest version. I can run 2 versions previously on Creative Cloud. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna call it for right now. I'll be back probably about an hour, hour and a half. I might as well just cook now, get it out of the way. Just gonna save this, and then I will come back and I'll be working on pages 30, 31, and hopefully I'll be able to get to 32 tonight. I think I will. I think I will. But just want to thank everybody that popped by. If you don't come back later on, and yeah, if you have a chance, go check out the campaign that's still live for the next, I don't know, 20 hours or so on Indiegogo. Everybody can go check it out there. And currently, right now, the campaign is sitting at, let's see, $5,243. And yeah, we'll see where that ends up by the end of the night. But until then, peace out, everybody. I'll be back in probably about an hour, hour and a bit. So, later.